here's the new Volvo EX30, the electric hot hatch we've been waiting for. So we're going to start with the exterior design of the EX30. It looks a lot like the Constant Recharge that Volvo came out with like a couple years ago. Tesla should be pretty worried at this point for the Model 3 and the Model Y. And no one would have expected a threat to come from Volvo. Typically, Volvos are pretty expensive. I mean, not saying that Teslas aren't, but for Volvo to make a mass market EV model, and it's their cheapest EV model by far, a lot of us weren't really expecting that. And to be honest, I was not expecting this vehicle to be offered in the United States, but it will be. Got the Thor's Hammer headlights here like we see on so many other Volvo models. Now the glass roof I don't believe is standard. This glass roof I believe is only on the top of the line grades. Now let's go to the interior. This looks like a Tesla interior. We don't have an MID behind the steering wheel, which is not my favorite thing, because you have to take your eyes off the road just to see how fast you're going. But luckily, we have a stock here to control, drive and reverse. We also have windshield wiper stock here, which is great. Here, your driving assistant controls. Now, they're touch capacitive, which is not my favorite thing. It reminds me a little bit of Volkswagen, for example. But I do like this interior a little bit better than the Teslas, and mainly because at night, this will illuminate this recycled material with the sparkly. It almost looks like a Starry Night interior. And make sure to watch my recent review of the C40 Recharge because the interior ambient lighting at night's pretty cool. We have a squared off steering wheel, which is interesting. I guess they're trying to let you know that this is a ton of performance. This is the fastest Volvo ever, 0 to 60 in around 3.5 seconds. And this is a big win for the Volvo, in my opinion. They're using Google built-in instead of Tesla's inbuilt software that you have on the Model 3 and Model Y. And this offers not only Google built-in, but also Android Auto and Apple CarPlay standard wireless. But there's no window switches on the door. It's built into the armrest. This Harman Kardon sound system, which is an optional one, you can get a base one. It's a sound bar, and I can't believe they're the first ones that I'm aware of. There might be some Chinese examples out there, and speaking of which, this is built in China. We'll talk more about that at the end. But this is the first vehicle that I can think of that uses a sound bar, takes the speakers out of the doors, makes it cheaper, makes it more affordable, and still gives you great sound. I believe there's 7 speakers in the base soundbar here. I'm not sure on the Harman Kardon, for example. The seats look far better quality than we have on the Teslas. I love the Swedish flag here. If you guys know, I'm a big sucker for Volvo materials as well as design on the interior and exterior. Now, where the Tesla Model Y especially will kick the butt of the EX30 is in rear passenger legroom. It's got a ton in comparison. For example, the Model Y has 40.5 inches of rear legroom, and the EX30 has a little over 32, which is less than a Prius, but it's more than like a Corolla hatchback, for example. You see the dark theme there on the screen. And just like a Tesla Model 3 and Model Y, we have these wireless chargers that are very, very similarly designed. Your door locks are by these window switches as well, and you have to press this rear button if you want to control the rear windows. Now, I believe blind spot monitor is also standard here, and I don't even know if that's a thing anymore on the Teslas, at least in the traditional model that is built into the side mirror. There's that glass roof. Again, I'm pretty sure that's only available on the top trims. And I don't see any AC charging back here. I guess they had to keep costs down, but we have a 12 volt back here, but an AC power outlet would have been excellent. Now for the American market, and maybe in Europe as well, they're planning on coming out with a more rugged option. Check out this off-roading version of the EX30. The cross country here, we have the wagons, the V60 and the V90 cross countries. They're the only wagons left in the United States that have the lift on them. So your range is going to go down massively here. So I would expect this thing, if it currently has 265 miles of range, probably drop 15, 20% in range, especially if you have a tire on top and a roof rack like this. But man, does it look cool. EX30 cross country. Which one would you be more interested? Would you be more interested in the more civilized city looking one that's going to give you the most amount of range? Or would you be going for the cross country that's kitted out like this? There's no doubt that this looks cooler in my opinion. And instead of the paint matched wheel arches here, we have a more rugged plastic on top. So I want to bring up the spreadsheet here for you guys so we can get a better idea on the metrics of this vehicle versus the Teslas. Now, I think the biggest thing that I want to address first in terms of pricing is that the Model 3 and Model Y, every single grade in the United States qualifies for the EV tax credit of $7,500 if you purchase it. And since the EX30 is built in China, it does not get the EV tax credit unless you follow the loophole, which is if you lease the vehicle, which would be very smart because this thing could be outdated in just a few years as to how fast EVs ramp up in technology and efficiency and new batteries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just lease the guy. Get the extra tax credit that way, and you can get rid of the vehicle if you want after 3 years. I think that's the smart way to handle the EX30 here in the United States. All right, so with pricing aside, the EX30 rear-wheel drive has more power than the Model 3, a little bit less torque. Acceleration is a guess on my part for the EX30, but it should be about the same as the Model 3 standard range. Battery size is larger here on the EX30. So when we're looking at the range in terms of miles, I have a base range and a max range, but it does not favor the Tesla here because Tesla advertises the max range. But if you look at like Edmunds EV range test, they always underperform their EPA estimate. So I have their underperformance measurements here based off Edmunds EV rear-wheel driving test. And then I have the EPA estimate here, or should I say Volvo manufactured estimate of the EX30. And then I have what Volvo and Polestars typically get compared to their EPA estimates, which is about 10% more. So I don't think it's going to be hard for the EX30 rear-wheel drive to get 300 miles of range. Where for the Teslas, it's, from what I hear, it's not the easiest to get close to their EPA estimated or advertised range. So that's where the Volvo is going to do really well here as this entry-level model. But the Teslas have an ace up their sleeve here, even though the range is not as good as the Volvo in best case scenario for the Volvo and worst case scenario for the Teslas, but they have the Tesla EV supercharging network at their disposal. So range isn't that big of a deal because they can not only charge faster than the Volvo EX30, but there are chargers and much higher availability compared to the CCS charging standards here in the United States. Unless Volvo gets on board for their American models and puts in the NACS plug in it, I just doubt it. Now, if you want tons of performance if you want insane EV hot hatch performance at a low price, that's what the EX30 all-wheel drive is for. Now, there's going to be why do I have Core here? Because Core is the entry, then there's a Plus, and I think there's an Ultimate. I know there's 3 trim levels. I might be wrong in exactly what they're called. I'm hoping that the Core comes in at around $40,000 for all-wheel drive. We look at the Polestar, which is also owned by Geely, their Chinese owner per se. The Polestar 2 rear-wheel drive to all-wheel drive only costs about $3,500 extra bucks. So I'm hoping we see a similar sort of price increase here from the EX30 rear-wheel drive to the EX30 all-wheel drive, which gets us up to 422 horsepower. Now 0 to 60 is going to be insane on this. For about $40,000 is what I'm guessing the all-wheel drive will start at, around 3.5 seconds, which is going toe-to-toe with the Model Y. The Model Y, a little bit bigger vehicle. But the range here, they're advertising 265, but if they overshoot like their Polestar and XC40 counterparts, they could be getting well over that, close to 300 miles of range here. Where the Model 3 performance, Model Y performance get quite a bit below their EPA range in real-world testing. Again, this won't qualify for the EV tax credit unless you lease, but will they ever produce this vehicle here in the United States at the South Carolina plant instead of China? I highly doubt it. I just think they can make the vehicle at such a low cost over there that they can swallow the 27.5% Chinese import tax for electric vehicles. We know the Volvo EX30 will struggle in terms of rear passenger legroom and cargo space. If you are rarely putting adults in the back seat, I think it'll be just fine. If you're putting kids back there, it'll be absolutely fine. But that's where really the Model Y succeeds massively here with its versatility over the EX30. But I'm going to end there. Let me know what you guys think of the Volvo EX30. I'm really excited for it. I really like the XC40 recharge. Didn't like the C40 recharge because you couldn't see out of the rear window. And I love Volvo's plug-in hybrids. Make sure to watch all my reviews on that. This EX30 could shake up the market. And now the ball is in Tesla's court. What are they going to do? People would love to have a small hatchback, and Tesla has been rumored to be working on a Model 3, maybe something smaller than Model 3, Model 2 or whatever, around $25,000 to $30,000 as a hatchback. And I think that would then get people really, really excited again in new Tesla vehicles. We have the Cybertruck coming out supposedly by the end of this year, but the Model 3 and the Model Y are a little bit stale. We're supposed to be getting a refresh on them, but that's probably just exterior only would be my guess. So let me know down below, which would you be getting, the USA built Model 3 superior Model Y or the Chinese-built Volvo EX30. Just from aesthetics alone, the Volvo takes the cake. The software, in my opinion, is more desirable for me as well. And the insane price to performance is quite impressive. So I'd be going with the Volvo EX30, leasing it to get that EV tax credit and having a freaking amazing hot hatch EV. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great day and peace.